Guys, we're in Make an Interactive Website. We're in Unit 5, Effects. Use jQuery to present your site's content with fancy effects. So it's been an interesting course so far. Definitely, it says beginner level, and I have to agree. However, the fact that you need to know a little bit of jQuery and JavaScript makes it. I think anytime a prerequisite for something like that, it should be a little higher, but it doesn't really matter. So we're gonna be messing around with some effects. So let's see what we got here. So we have the slide down effect. So you can see an example of how we would do that. All right. So slide down effect, and it's in milliseconds. So when slide down button is clicked, slide the container down. To make this happen, alright, so we now want the container, after it hides the previous one, to then dot slide down with 800 milliseconds behind it. So, bam, slide down, slide down, slide down. Cool. There's also slide up, which slides up, as you could imagine. So after we show the image here, we want to then call the slide up on the container, and we want to give it that amount of time. There's also fade in. Cool. Fade in's one that would be kind of cool to use. So let's see here. We see how it works. We'll probably test it out in a second here. So after we hide it, we also want to fade it in. And we're going to give it 700. Wait. Cool. Also fade out. So how do we want to fade out here? So similar thing. We're going to call it on the container class rather, and we're going to call .fade out. And what do we want? 1000. So why isn't it working? Oh, we forgot to run main. So document.read document. So this is why it's not working. See, there it goes. Cool. So there's also Animate. Looks pretty complicated. Let's see here. So animate the width to 193. So you're doing like a little bit of CSS here. Takes two parameters: a set of CSS properties. So that's what this first parameter is, and a time duration. Okay, I can get down with that. Cool. So let's get started here. So it looks like we're gonna write a little hefty amount of code. So we can see the fade in, fade out, all that sort of stuff. So at the top of the right of Flipboard page, click on More. Drop down menu appears. Oh, there's More and some other stuff. So let's just get started. So it looks like they just want us to set up document.ready. Let's check. I don't know, I always get confused because I've been doing it with jQuery, but this is basically you create the main method or main function, then you load it up. Easy enough. So use jQuery to select more link. This involves dropdown.toggle class. Add a click. Alright, so we want to the more link. Select the more link. Alright, so we have to select it. dot more. This involves, the drop down dash toggle, excuse me. Down dash toggle. And then we want to add a dot click function, or event handler rather. And in here we want to select the drop down menu class. So here we go with this. And we're going to dot toggle when it's clicked. So let's go ahead and save and submit, see if that's right. So what are we doing wrong? So let's look at our code here. We have drop down dash toggle dot click and then our function, and in there we want to drop down dash menu toggle. Our main function. Alright, easy enough. Let's see what's going on, compare and contrast. So there, this first line seems to be good. So there's our main, we have our, oh, there's no dot. Oh, excuse me. There's no drop dot in ours, rather. Remember the single quotes, not the class dot. Yeah, so use jQuery to select arrow dash next class using the click event handler. So we're in here, and we want to also select arrow dash next. And what do we want to do here? So we select arrow dot next. Oh, excuse me. We are setting this up for another different click function because we're clicking something else. So dot click and then function. And make sure your brackets are right. Cool. Alright, so inside this event handler, we're going to create two variables. So var current slide and the next slide. Current slide should select the active slide, and next slide should restore this. So current, so that's that. And let's just get this set up. Var next slide equals that. So what do we want current slide to be? Your current slide fade out at 600 milliseconds. Remove the active slide. So is active slide a class? Is equal to, so current slide is equal to, and this could be wrong, but we're going to find out. We're going to test it first. So this is going to be equal to the active slide, and next slide Alright, so let's take a look what's going on here. So if our current slide is equal to active slide, and then next slide is equal to current slide dot next. Okay, cool. That makes sense. So we want to call the dot next on it. Define it. So we have current slide dot next. Now we want to fade in at 600 milliseconds. So if you remember, it takes in a fade out and a fade in. So let's take a look at this real quick, and it's going to be within the same thing here. So current slide dot fade out, this is the time parameter, and then we want to remove the active dash slide, and then we want to fade in active or add class active dash slide for next slide. So let's do that right now. So we have our current slide, and we want to fade that one out. and that takes 600 milliseconds or whatever we want. And then we want to dot remove class. So we're removing the image, the slider image, active dash slide, and let's fix this. We have a dot here, and we also have a dot here. So first thing first, we have to slowly remove the active slide. Next, we want next slide dot fade in to be 600, and we want to add the class, add it to the class dot active dash slide. I believe that should work. Add code for dot arrow dash next. Oh. Make sure you defined all the variables. So let's take a look at the example here. Says our variables might be wrong. So we have active dash slide. Current slide is equal to active slide. That seems good. Then we have current. Alright. Here's our error. Cool. So we faded it out an image, and then we faded in an image. So let's handle this case using an if statement inside the click event handler. When current slide is the last slide, next slide will be empty. Alright, so right here we'll say if next slide. Okay, so the way they want us to do is do dot length is equal to 0. We want it to do some shit. Now, what shit do we want it to do? Therefore, after creating the variables current slide and next slide, write an if statement that checks if next slide length is equal to 0. Cool. So if next slide is empty, you want to go back to the first slide. So we want to say that, therefore, inside the if statement, we set next slide equal to the first slide. Alright, so we'll say next slide is equal to the variable dot slide, single quotes, dot first. So that will reset it apparently to the first one. Save and submit. Very nice. So let's go ahead and test out our code. Next slide fade in is not a function. Let's see here. This is really bad that they let that go through. Because it is case sensitive, so. Well, it seems to be partially working. Let's see, fade out. Hopefully they'll fix that. Because that messed me up on in an earlier video too, where like, oh, all of a sudden my code worked for one side and not the other, and then we had to work our way through it all again. So yeah, so let's add a few more lines of code inside the click event handler for arrow dash next. Alright, so what are we adding in here? Use jQuery to select the active dash dot class. Alright, so let's break this up a little bit. And we want to select active dash dot. And what do we want to do? Save it to a new variable named current dot. So we'll say var current dot equals that. Alright, select the next dot using next and save in a variable next dot. So var next dot equals current dot next. Remove the active dot class from current dot. Remove active dot class and add it to it. Alright, so current dot is equal to next dot. And we'll put it right in. Click to see if the arrow moves the dots. No. Remember to remove active dash dot. Oh, sorry. So current I think we have to do remove class. So let's see. We'll say current dot dot remove class dot active dash dot. Alright, so let's take a look at an example here. So var active slide, current slide dash next, current dot, active dot, next dot. Okay, so this is where I made my mistake. We also want to, right here, when we did current dot dot remove class active dot, we forgot to add next dot dot add class active dash dot. And apparently they don't use this, so it's not a class. Cool. So just we have to remove it and we have to add it. We can implement this in the same way that we went back to the first slide. In the if statement under the existing code, add a line that sets next dot equal to dot 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 first. So in the if statement under the existing code, okay, add a line that says next dot. Alright, so we're going to actually throw this up top, so it makes a little more sense with the rest of our variables. And we're going to say next dot is equal to dot 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 first. So it's going to move it back to the first. Next dot equals. Oh, and don't forget the cash money. Alright, that wasn't it. Alright, so dot dot first. It shouldn't matter right here. It should work still. Huh, so if dot length is equal to 0, if our current dot, next dot. Let's throw this back up at top. So we threw it in there. Next dot equals cash money dot 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 first. Alright, so I believe we are doing okay here. Let's go ahead and take a look. Huh, so it doesn't remove it. So let's go, let's go to the form real quick. And we are on next.2. I think I clicked glossary. So let's go to the forum. We're on next.2. And what do we want, why this code works. If statement if possible. So this seems to be right. Functions, screen slide. So, actually, luckily, oops, sorry guys, they gave us an example back in the first step of this. So that's what I want. What the hell's going on right now? Alright, so view course overview. Here we are. So as I was saying, luckily, if we go back to the first step, we actually can preview what it was we were trying to do here. So this is next dot is equal to this. This is where we're at, I believe. So let's go ahead and copy this. Copy everything above it and compare and contrast. So drop down .click .function. This could just be one of those weird things. Drop down menu, single quotes dot toggle. All right, cool. So we're good here. We have arrow dash next .click function. We haven't had a problem with that this whole time, so we're probably good there. Current slide active slide semicolon. Next slide equals current slide. Cool. Current dot is equal to active dot. Next dot equals current dot next. If slide dot length is equal to 0. That's good. Next slide is equal to dot first. Then current slide. Ooh, is this it? Let's see if this is having an effect on it. Current slide .remove class, current slide add class. So it looks to me like everything's identical. So for the time being, we are going to copy this in here, and if anyone happens to catch it in the video, by all means leave a comment and let me know what the issue was. Oops. That guy messed up there. What the hell? I don't expect an end of input. Alright, so still not 100% sure. Oh shit, did I have one too many? So it looks like I might have had one too many of these. There we go. So it was a syntax thing. So select arrow dash previous element. Alright, we're still in the main here. Now we're doing so again, it's another syntax thing. So it's just part of programming. Dash prev. And we want to call .click, and then we want to assign this function to do some stuff for it. So when it gets clicked, what do we want it to do? Select the active slide. And save it in a new variable called current slide. Alright, so select the previous slide. So we want to say var. Ooh! Hey, buddy. var prev slide. And we want to select the previous slide. Alright, so prev slide is equal to current slide dot prev. Alright. Fade out current slide in 600 milliseconds. And remove the active slide class from it. So, let's see here. So we want to do something similar. So we have current slide. Dot fade out 600, and then let's see if that's good to go. All right, inside the click event handler for dot arrow prev, write an if statement handle this case. So if, so we're gonna say if prev slide dot length is equal to 0. Set prev slide equal to last slide. All right, so prev slide is equal to dot slide dot last. So we're setting it to the very last slide. Try it out. Save, submit. Remember to fade out the current slide and remove the active slide. So I just did. No? Alright, so maybe they wanted this outside the if statement? And no semicolon there. Oh, this is supposed to be pre-slide. Current slide to fade out. Dot add class. So current slide is equal to active slide. Var pre-slide is equal to current slide dot prev. And if prev slide length dot length is equal exactly to 0, run an if statement that says prev slide. And here it is. Prev slide is equal to dot slide last, and then let's compare this. They don't So this all seems to be correct. Let's see what happens when you paste this in here. Okay, so that's right, and it's not working. So there's probably something wrong with another part of our code. So what we're gonna do is go back to this previous one because I don't want to make a 45-minute video for the syntax. And let's see, prev dot, prev slide, Control C. That was just kind of cheating per se, but for the sake of the video, I don't want to make it too long. So now this should work. What? Let's see what happens when we put this in. Okay, that works. What is this extra bracket for? 1, 2. That goes there. That goes there. Oh, I may have had a missing bracket. Oh, that looks like what it might have been. So this goes here. This is here. let's remove that. Oops. Let's go back. There we go. Alright, so our code is fixed. It's another error on my part from a couple other slides. Hopefully they'll make it a little harder to go on to the next stage. Anyhow, so let's add a few more lines of code inside the click event handler .arrow -prev. Alright, let's add more lines of code inside the click event handler arrow.prev. Use jQuery to select the active dot element and save it to the new variable name current dot. Already did that. Select the previous dot. Select current dot is equal to active dot. Select the previous dot using prev dot. Remove the active. Alright, so same thing here. Current dot remove class, prev dot add class. And we're gonna put it below everything else. So this is gonna take care of our dots. That's all we need to do here. In the if statement under the existing code, add a line that sets prev dot equal to dot last. So right in the if statement under the existing code. So I'm gonna say if dot. So if prev dot is equal to dot last, what do we want it to do? I think they just wants to write that if statement. What? Alright. I was like, they just want to write an if statement? So, okay, so in our if statement, I thought we were going to write the rest of this. We're going to set prev slide. So the previous slide is equal to the dot slide dash last. So the last slide. And prev dot is equal to. So basically what's going on right here is I don't know if it's technically changing, but if it is, it's changing back to the exact one every time. And there we go. We finished it. A little bit of a hiccup here or there with minor syntax errors. So I'm sorry if you have to go and check the code yourself, but as always, I'm learning this at the same time everyone else is. So thanks for watching the Make an Interactive Website development course, and I will see you guys along with Milo here, who's invaded my lap, in the next video. Questions, comments, concerns, all that sort of stuff is really appreciated, guys, and it keeps me going. I'll see you guys next time.